Hey, this is Autumn, host of Autumn's Oddities on Darkcast Network. On my show, I talk about murder, cryptids, and ghosts. So you could probably guess that my tastes are a bit on the darker side. So when I shop for unique novelties and gifts, I like to keep an eye out for something with a little bit of, something out of the ordinary. That's why I shop at Batwings and Butterflies. Batwings and Butterflies is an independent, creator-owned and operated boutique featuring handmade knit creations that run the gamut of the wild and dark side. Here you'll find knit toys and stuffies like little baby Baphomets and giant tarantulas, household knits like blankets, doilies, and water pipe cozies, and much more. Every item is an original work of art, handmade with love by a talented artisan. Order your one-of-a-kind creations today. Find Batwings and Butterflies on Instagram at Batwings and Butterflies. My favorite product is definitely the little baby Baphomet. Oh, look at him. Just go online and look. It looks like he's hailing himself. He's the perfect little demon baby to cuddle with on a cold night while you're listening to podcasts on the Darkcast Network. Go get yours today.
Darkcast Network. The light shines brightest on our indie podcasts.
Before we begin this week's episode, I'd like to start with a content warning. This podcast includes foul language and includes discussions of violent crimes. Some topics may be triggering and may include depictions of sexual assault, gore, torture, suicidal ideation, or discussions of mental health. Listener discretion is strongly advised. Hey everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Before this episode, I wanted to let you all know that some spots are a little glitchy. I apologize in advance. Amanda and I do record remotely, and for whatever reason, even with every safeguard that we have taken and continue to take, it did still come out a little bit rough. We have a theory as to why, but I'm not going to waste your time going into it. That would be a whole nother episode. But please know that the circumstances were unavoidable at the time. We could just re-record the episode, but neither Amanda nor myself have the time to do so, unfortunately, and I didn't want to leave anybody hanging. Also, there will be no episode from us next week. We are taking a week off to do some background work focused on improving this podcast. We will be dropping an episode by the Keep It Weird podcast instead, which is a fan favorite of theirs, so you'll have that to look forward to. So thank you guys so much for your patience. We love you guys. Please just enjoy the show.
So today we have a listener request.
Ooh, who?
My niece, Cheyenne, suggested this dude, Tommy Lynn Sells. I know. I don't know why she hates me.
Okay, so I'm going to have to sit down and have a heart-to-heart with your niece, I see.
Probably. But yes, this episode is going to be a rough one.
Okay. Well, A Nefarious Nightmare presents The Eyes That Fade, Tommy Lynn Sells. Before we begin today's episode, I want to start with this week's missing segment. A Korean national by the name of Haneul Oh was last seen in Davie, Florida on December 20th, 2021. Her date of birth is January 28th, 2000, which makes her 22 years old at the time of talking about this. She has black hair and brown eyes. She's approximately 5 foot tall and around 105 pounds. And may be traveling in a gray 2005 Toyota Corolla with Florida tag number L20NAZ. Haneul Oh went missing under suspicious circumstances with foul play suspected. FBI says that she has ties to Maryland and New Jersey. Anyone with information on the whereabouts of Haneul Oh is encouraged to contact Davie Police Department at 954-693-8290.
We have an announcement. A Nefarious Nightmare is now partnered with Darkcast Network. This network has a plethora of podcasts that will strike your true crime match, from serious to casual and everything in between. We are super proud and pumped to be part of this network and look forward to all of the awesomeness that this 2022 and this network has in store.
Yeah, man, we are really excited about this, y'all. Okay, let's talk about Tommy Lynn No Cells.
Ugh, I seriously hope everyone can handle it. This has been one of the worst I've had to research in a while.
Yeah.
So, Tommy Lynn Sells and his twin sister Tammy Jean were born on June 28, 1964 in Oakland, California, to single mother Nina Sells. Apart from his twin sister, he had 3 more siblings, so 5 children altogether. After the family moved to St. Louis, Missouri, the 18-month-old twins, Tommy and Tammy, sadly contracted meningitis, and Tammy did not survive the disease.
Man, meningitis back then wasn't near as well known as it is today, and it can be deadly. I almost died from it in the 3rd grade. I almost lost my limbs. It's not anything to fuck around with, so I do feel for Nina.
Yeah, it's a very scary
disease. It is.
So, Tommy was sent to live with his aunt, Bonnie Walpole, in Missouri, but was returned to his mother at the age of 5 after she found out that his aunt wanted to adopt him. At only 8 years old, a man named Willis Clark began spending time with Tommy and molesting him, apparently with his mother's consent, which I'm sure
with Nina's
affected
consent?
him mentally. I mean,
gross.
That's what I've found on a few different credible sources. So yeah, Tommy sadly began drinking alcohol when he was only 7 years old. He stopped attending school altogether at 10 and smoked pot instead. After he climbed naked into his grandmother's bed at the age of 13, his mother took his siblings and left without him, without even a forwarding address. I mean, I don't really blame this woman.
No.
But at the same time, wouldn't you want to get your child help?
I mean, I'd at least try.
I mean, at least bring him to a psych ward. I mean, try to do something. This was 1977. It wasn't, the 1800s. There was resources for this kind of stuff at this point. But I think we've already realized that she was a pretty shitty mom.
Yeah, for real. Like, stuff like this just makes me sad because there are so many people out there who either really want children or passionately take the proper steps to avoid having them. Kids don't really deserve to be thrown, in the fire and mistreated like this shit, No,
absolutely not. It's heartbreaking. But becoming homeless as a teenager, he made his way across the United States from 1978 to 1999, during which time he drank heavily and abused drugs, while he occasionally took very short-term manual labor and barber jobs. He was also in jail several times for committing various crimes.
I mean, it happens.
Mm-hmm. So Tommy committed his first murder at the age of 16 when he broke into a house and found a man performing sexual acts on a boy, and he killed the man in a rage.
Oh, good. I guess. Good.
I know. I kind of started on this one, and I was like, well,
okay.
But it gets worse. So he claimed that he shot and killed John Cade Sr. in July of 1979 after Cade caught him burglarizing his home.
All right, dude. I mean, come on. Like, pick a side.
I know.
Pick a side, You're either against us or you're with us. I mean, kudos for defending a child who was being sexually assaulted. But at the same time, it just seems as though your path is already kind of laid out. And I don't know, this sucks.
It does. So in May of 1981, he was very briefly reunited with his family in Little Rock, Arkansas, but was told to leave after he attempted to have sex with his mother while she took a shower.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He then took the job of a carnival worker and headed to St. Louis in 1983. But he confessed to killing 2 more people, including Hal Atkins, before leaving Arkansas. In May of 1984, he was convicted of car theft and given a 2-year prison sentence. He was released the following February, but failed to follow the terms of his probation. I mean, what a shock, right?
Of course.
While working at a Missouri carnival, he met Ina Cord, a divorced woman who scraped by working at a car wash. She was treating her 4-year-old son, Rory, to a fun night out. She, for some reason, invited Tommy to spend the evening at their house. And, I mean, come on, who meets a worker at a carnival and goes, let me invite this man back to my house with my son and me?
Yeah.
I mean,
this
is all according to his account. So, according to his account, he had consensual sex with her, and then he says he found her stealing from his backpack and beat her to death with her son's baseball bat before killing the child as well to eliminate potential witnesses.
Oh my God. This is sad.
Yeah, it really is.
How fucking awful. And Cheyenne, we're having a talk after this episode drops.
Right?
Shay,
Like,
come on.
This is a dark place, man.
Yeah.
So their bodies were found 3 days later. And I mean, let's really think about it. This is all coming from Tommy's mouth, so it very well could have been that he saw her at the carnival, stalked her home, and raped her and murdered her. I mean,
yeah, I'm inclined to agree.
But I mean, only 3 people know that true story, and none of them are here any longer to say it. Sadly, well, sadly for her and Rory, not Tommy. Fuck Tommy.
Yeah, fuck Tommy.
So yeah. By September of 1984, he was back in jail for drunk driving after crashing his car. He stayed in jail until May 16th, 1986. Back in St. Louis, Tommy claimed that he shot a stranger in self-defense. He then headed to Aransas Pass, Texas, where he was hospitalized for an overdose of heroin. Damn, so close.
Wow, this dude, he just can't catch a break from life.
I know, just die. He seems, in many words, yes.
He seems like a real winner.
Yeah. Once out of the hospital, he stole a car and headed to Fremont, California. While in Fremont, investigators believe he was responsible for the death of Jennifer Dewey, who was 20 years old, and she was shot. And they also believe he murdered Michelle Xavier, who was 19 years old, who was found with her throat cut.
Jesus Christ.
So, in October of 1987, Tommy was living in Winnemucca, Nevada, with a 20-year-old Stephanie Stroh. He confessed to drugging her with LSD, then strangling her and disposing of her body by weighing her feet with concrete and putting her into a hot spring in the desert. But the crime was never actually confirmed.
Okay. So far, I'm guessing that, like maybe he had some mommy issues, obviously, right? But I don't know. It's a weird dynamic because it's almost as if part of him wants to be with his mother. Like, that sounds really sick. And the other part is he's also really angry. So it's like an angry passion. I don't know. But I mean, I'm wondering if maybe he may have encountered some kind of like Stockholm syndrome, where he was sexually abused. He became one with it because it's all he knew. He decided that he'd been jealous of the attention his mom ended up giving to others. And then he murdered women out of pure rage at that fact, and then he moved on. And I mean, I'm not in any way trying to excuse his behavior at all. It just seems like his anger at women and wanting to have that control by taking, that's coming out. I mean, that control, having that control of murdering somebody and taking somebody's life, it just helps fuel some kind of inward desire he can't air out in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, exactly. It's
because he's a bitch.
He is a bitch. So, I don't know. Also, we don't know what happened in those 3 or 4 years when he was living with his aunt, and Nina thought she was going to adopt Tommy, but, I mean, who knows? Who knows where maybe he was born this way. I mean, I don't know. I don't really want to think of a baby being born this evil, but, But, Tommy said that when he left Winnemucca on November 3rd and headed east, so by the time October 1987, he confessed to murdering Susan Courts, who was 27, from Amherst, New York. Yeah.
Wow.
This next one
just
is the hardest one I'm going to have to get through. So, very unsuspecting Keith Darden was the next known victim who tried to befriend Tommy. He saw Tommy hitchhiking in, I don't know if it's Ina, Illinois, and offered him a hot meal at his home. So in return for this humble gesture, Tommy shot Keith and then mutilated his penis.
Okay.
Next, he murdered Keith's 3-year-old son, Pete, by beating him with a hammer. And then he turned his rage on Keith's pregnant wife, Elaine, whom he attempted to rape.
Okay, holy fuck. This dude is just sick.
I know. The attack caused Elaine to go into labor, and she gave birth to her daughter. Neither mother nor daughter survived, sadly. He beat both of them to death with a bat, and then inserted the bat into her vagina.
Okay, fuck, man.
I know. After tucking the children and the mother into the bed, he left.
Okay, this is just way too fucking much.
Yeah. So, I knew this was sick, but I do really want to drive a point home. This crime went unsolved for 12 years until he confessed to it. So here's the thing. This is why true crime is important. Sometimes it raises awareness to cases like these. I mean, had people not talked about it, it may have gone unsolved for even longer.
That really is an excellent point. And I mean, it is a hard case, but it is important.
Yes. So he was arrested actually right after that for stealing a car, but he took off before his court appearance.
What?
Yeah. So right here, we're going to take a quick break so that I can cry and Courtney can scream, or vice versa.
Okay. Let's take a break.
All right.
Hello, this is Mama D, and I'm the host of Petals of Support. Petals of Support is a podcast that offers advice from a mom to anyone that needs a little extra love and support. This is not advice for moms, but advice from a mom. I've covered such topics as forgiveness, how to forgive, when to forgive, and when it's okay to not forgive, letting go, how to make good decisions, and how to handle stressful situations. I'm not a licensed anything. I'm just a mom that wants to provide to you the same advice that I give my kids, my friends, and my family. You can find me on any podcast platform. You can also find me at Twitter at Petals of Support. Please go listen, find the episodes that apply to you, and maybe the ones that don't. You can file that information away for later. If you like what you hear, please subscribe. Thank you.
In August of 1980, Carol Bundy confessed her connection to the Sunset Strip Slayer, who had been terrorizing Los Angelinos all summer.
In September of 2012, the cult of the Unification Church, also known as the Moonies, mourned the death of their leader, Sun Myung Moon.
Tune into Murder Murder News every Friday to hear us detangle another twisted tale from true crime history.
If you're an amateur sleuth who hopes to someday solve a cold case or locate a missing person, tune into Murder Murder News and start off your search with a deep dive into some fascinating and very solvable cases.
We always take a victim-first stance and like to focus on crimes affecting marginalized communities, which typically don't get enough media attention.
Subscribe to Murder Murder News wherever you get your podcast to make sure you never miss an episode.
Well, we're back, and I'm shocked I didn't lose my voice from screaming so fucking hard.
Oh. I told you it's a hard one. So,
Yeah.
during an interview I watched with Tommy while he was on death row, and we will put that link to this video in the show notes.
Trigger warnings abound, though.
Very big trigger warnings throughout the video, visually, audioly. I mean, just prepare yourself and don't watch it with young eyes around, please.
Just prepare yourself.
Yes. Or just don't watch it if you don't want to, you know. I'm not going to make you do it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the cliff notes here. So the interviewer asked Tommy what happened as he was killing Elaine and if she had a baby. Tommy said he would stop the interview now if he asks something like that again, and he wouldn't discuss blood and gore with him, which I found a little shocking since he was so open about other things in the interview.
Man, it's really strange, right? Because I've been listening to the 5-part series that Paige from Reverie True Crime did about the Aurora shooting. There was just, by the way, there's something about that particular case that just, it broke me. But it was really intriguing to listen to, unfortunately, but yeah, James Holmes.
I listened to it, yeah.
Yeah, and James Holmes, he shot up a theater, killing tons of people. One of them was a 6-year-old girl. Despite saying that he wanted to kill everybody in the world, he also said he never meant to kill a child. I mean, isn't it interesting how morals tend to get they get confused? It's so weird.
Yeah, absolutely. And it happens all the time, sadly. I mean, but okay, we're going to get through this.
Yeah, let's get through this.
In May of 1989, he was again arrested for stealing from his employer. He spends 15 days in jail, and then on August of 1989, he was arrested in Little Rock, Arkansas. In October of 1989, he was charged with drunkenness and put into a detox in Oakland, California. In November of 1989, he was charged with public drunkenness again. In December of 1989, he was hospitalized for a heroin overdose. In January of 1990, he was arrested on charges of cocaine possession, but released after the police said he was not in possession of drugs. And again in January, he was arrested and sent to prison for auto theft and released in January of 1991.
Wow.
Fast forward to April of 1992, he was arrested again for public drunkenness. Again, he was leaving the crime scene from this ungodly crime he just committed, stole a car, got arrested for stealing that car right after he had committed that murder.
Okay.
I mean, my whole point of this, of saying how many times he got arrested was just to lay out the fact that this man was in jail all the freaking time. I mean, I literally went August, September, October, November, December, January. He was in jail almost every freaking month.
I'm just really frustrated with frustrated with this guy. This guy. Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, and just really seeing him in that interview just really had me riled up today, just because he's just so like, yeah, I did it, Sam, and what?
Amanda's niece.
Just this complete
Amanda's
psychopath.
niece. We're having a talk.
Shay, like we have a problem here, Cheyenne.
Girl.
So, all right,
Okay,
continuing. All right, so on May 13th of 1992, Fabienne Witherspoon, a 19-year-old woman in Charleston, West Virginia, was driving under an overpass and saw a guy holding a sign that said, "I will work for food." She felt sorry for him and took him to her home. Guys, ladies, please, anybody, don't do this. Don't do this, please. So she did ask him to wait outside and did not let him come inside her house. Well, it's Tommy we're talking about, so when she came back out to give him some food, she saw that he was already in her house, making himself at home. She walked away to get something else. He grabbed a knife from her kitchen, trapped her in a bathroom, and attempted to rape her. Fabienne fought back, hitting him in the head repeatedly with a ceramic duck, and getting control of the knife, she had stabbed him. She nicked his kidney and his liver, and she did slice his testicle. Good. So this obviously made him mad, and Tommy beat her over the head with a piano stool. He then tried to get away, but his injuries were too bad, and he ended up in the ICU and in police custody. Fabienne sustained significant injuries, including a gape in her head and a cut in her hand that did require surgery. After this attack, Tommy took a plea deal on malicious wounding charges and served 5 years in prison.
Okay. Why did they go so fucking easy on him? Why?
After he was in jail every friggin' month.
Just keep him.
Okay. Oh, so irritating. So irritating. Oh, and also while serving this 5-year sentence, Tommy met and married Nora Price.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. He found his love.
Oh.
So he moved to Tennessee with his wifey, and after being released in 1997. But the relationship was short-lived as he resumed his cross-country travels.
Well, I guess it could have ended in a worse way.
Very true.
Yeah.
So in October of 1998, he married a woman whose name I cannot find, nor did I look extremely hard because I don't really care about her. So he married a woman that apparently had 3 children, though the couple was separated for 2 weeks in February of 99 and again in late March of 1999.
I'm just, wow. I'm just surprised that this dude had some major pull with the ladies. Like, I just don't get it.
I don't either.
I don't get it.
It is not like he was a handsome fella.
No, he kind of looked like a werewolf. But
yeah, I know. He looked dumb. Anyways. On December 31st of 1999 in Del Rio, Texas, a 10-year-old little girl, Crystal Searles, was staying at the house of a friend, Katie Harris, who was 13 years old. Tommy entered the bedroom where the girls were sleeping. They were on bunk beds. He grabbed Katie and slashed her throat, killing her. And he also stabbed her 16 times while Crystal watched.
Oh my God.
He didn't actually see Crystal at first. But when he turned at the glance of the room, he saw her. He then slashed her throat. But after he's told her to simply move your hands, as she laid on the top bunk of the bed, she pretended to be dead. She stayed still so she could escape and get help from a neighbor, thinking everyone in the house had been killed. As he exited the trailer, he wiped his fingerprints off on the doorknob he had touched and took with him 2 window screens he thought might contain his fingerprints.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, he fucking knew what he was doing.
Yeah, he knew what he was doing.
He then drove back to his house, stopping to discard the knife and the window screens in a random field.
Just wow. And good for Crystal. You know?
I know.
That's a smart cookie. So
yeah, I mean, I was thoroughly impressed with her.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to Crystal.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, what a brave, strong little girl. Not only was she able to run to a neighbor's house with her throat sliced, but she was also able to get a pen and paper and wrote down the Harrises are hurt and tell them to hurry on another paper.
Awesome.
After the neighbor called 911, Crystal went into shock on his kitchen floor where he held her and talked to her until the police arrived.
Poor baby.
She thankfully survived.
I'm glad she survived, and I really do. I mean, go Crystal, but I wish they had all survived. I don't know, man. It breaks my heart that, even though, I mean, yeah, she's strong and she survived all that, but she had to go through all that shit. That's just fucking...
Too much. You shouldn't have to go through that much at 10 years old.
Ever.
No matter what age you are.
Oh, poor
you
baby.
should never have to go through what she went through.
Wow.
So, Crystal was able to provide enough detail with a photo she drew in her hospital bed for a forensic artist to recreate a sketch that eventually led to the arrest of Tommy when a family friend recognized him in the sketch.
Wow, that's cool.
It turns out that Tommy knew Terry Harris, who was Katie's adopted father. She was his attended victim that night.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. Crystal was then able to pick Tommy out of a lineup, and the police provided. She also testified against him in court.
Good.
I mean, round of applause, girl.
Yay.
Stronger than... Strong girl.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, though.
Yeah.
So, Tommy was arrested a couple days later on January 2nd, 2000, at the trailer where he lived with his wife and her 4 children. He did not resist or even ask why he was being arrested. Lieutenant Larry Pope of the Val Verde County Sheriff's Office said, quote, "If we had come a day later, he would have already been gone. He told us he was leaving town. He sold a car and was just waiting for the banks to open in the morning to get the money," end quote. Yep. He later confessed to killing Katie and attacking Crystal, but that was the very tip of the iceberg. During the following months, Tommy admitted to killing multiple men, women, and children in several states across the country, but most of them, sadly, he never got charged with.
Too fucking easy on him.
Yes.
Ugh.
Also, in 2002, crime writer Diane Fanning began corresponding with him as he awaited execution in Texas, and in one of his letters to Fanning, Tommy confessed to the murder of 10-year-old Joel Kirkpatrick. The sad news is Joel's mother, Julie Ray Harper, had been found guilty of his murder and was in prison for it.
Wow.
He told Fanning in a later interview that Julie had been rude to him at a convenience store. So to get back at her, he followed her home, murdered the boy, and left. This confession, along with Fanning's testimony at a prison review board and help from the Innocence Project, resulted in a new trial for Julie Harper that ended in acquittal.
Okay, not to get too far off the topic here, but the fact that he was mad that she was rude to him at a convenience store, what does that say about entitlement?
Yeah.
I mean, I won't get too...
I agree with you.
Yeah, I won't get too far into it, but I mean, what does that say about entitlement? But, really, that is good that she was acquitted. What a piece of fucking garbage.
Yeah. So I did want to dive into this case for a minute because this woman has been through it. So here's a mini deep dive into Julie Ray. She was a PhD student at Indiana University. Even though Julie gave a consistent and detailed description of the intruder who broke into her home, killed her son, and tried to kill her, but yet the investigation focused solely on Julie. She was indicted 3 years later, and during her trial, prosecutors presented several pieces of gender-biased emotional prejudice and irrelevant evidence, including testimony by her ex-husband that she had contemplated aborting her pregnancy with Joel. This testimony not only was damaging, it was also false. Julie's obstetrician testified that she had confined herself to a bed around the clock during the final weeks of pregnancy to reduce the risk of a spontaneous abortion. So, despite the lack of physical evidence or motive, the jury found Julie Ray guilty, and she was sentenced to 65 years in prison for the murder of her son, Joel.
Wow, as if she hadn't been through enough.
I know. On June 24th of 2004, the 5th District of the Illinois Court ordered a new trial. They said not as a result of Tommy Sell's confession, but rather because the appointment of special prosecutors for the first trial violated a state law. The Center on Wrongful Convictions assembled a pro bono trial team led by Ronald S. Safer, who was a managing partner of Shift Harden LLP, and Jeffrey Ordangan from Northwestern Law.
Okay.
So at Julie's retrial, the jury heard Tommy Sell's confession, which, by the way, the prosecution said was completely false.
Okay.
Yeah. And in addition, the defense gave extensive forensic evidence supporting Julie's account that an intruder had killed Joel and attacked her, including expert testimony establishing that Julie had suffered extensive injuries that could not have been self-inflicted.
Wow.
The jury found the defense evidence persuasive and returned a verdict of not guilty on July 26th of 2006.
Okay.
On December 1st of 2010, the Circuit Court of Lawrence County awarded her a certificate of innocence.
Wow, she really has been through it, though. But good for her. Good.
She really has.
Good for her.
And listen, I'm glad that she doesn't have to go down for this asshole.
Okay, so let's get back to Tommy, pit stain, fuck ass, motherfucking piece of dumpster, cum, scum ass, potato bitch bag, no sales.
Actually, fuck that. We will get right to the important part of the story, which is the victims.
Awesome.
Based on Tommy's confessions throughout the years, though not all of his claims have been proven, here are the other victims. These will have also minimal information since they sadly never got tried, but we at least do want to mention them, and I'll do my best. So let's remember these victims. We have Ken Lawton, who was killed in 1988 in Arizona, an unnamed woman and her 3-year-old son in 1988, Melissa Tremblay, 1988, who was 11 years old in Massachusetts, another unnamed woman in 1989 in Truckee, California, another unnamed woman in her 20s in April of 1989, and a female hitchhiker in May of 1989. Both of those were in Roseburg, Oregon. Teresa Hall, who was 28 years old, and her 5-year-old daughter, Mariana, in Florida of December of 1991. Stephanie Mahany, who was 13, in Springfield, Missouri, in October of 1997. We have Debbie, who was 28, and Ambria, who was 9, in Del Rio, Texas, in March of 1999. We have Mary Perez, who was 9 years old, in San Antonio, Texas. Haley McHone, who was 13, who was in Lexington, Kentucky, in May of 1999. And we have Bobby Lynn Wolford, who was 14 years old, in Kingfisher, Oklahoma. So most of those are the murders that he confessed to, but were never actually proven, like I said.
Well, we remember these victims and our hearts and prayers are with their families.
Yes. So on September 17th of 2003, Tommy was indicted but never tried for the 1997 Greene County, Missouri murder of Stephanie Mahany. That same year, he pleaded guilty to strangling 9-year-old Mary B. Perez of San Antonio, for which he did actually receive a life sentence.
Wow. Still think he got off way too fucking easy.
Oh, just wait. I was watching a YouTube video of an interview with Tommy, and you can really see the hate and the pure evil when he was talking. He talked about killing other people like we would talk about the weather.
I noticed that. There was a part where he actually straight up told the reporter that he is evil, and I think it was the reporter, but he was saying that he was glad that there was glass there to separate them. Like, I've never heard a reporter just straight up say that.
Yeah. The end of that video where he describes how he'd kill the reporter when the reporter asked him, "I'd crack your head like a coconut." One thing he said that made me back up and listen again was when he said, "I like to watch the eyes fade, watch the pupils fade." That's a quote. And when the interviewer asked him why he thinks he likes to see that, he replied with, quote, "It's just like setting their soul free." When he's asked what he's thinking and feeling when he kills someone, he just simply said, quote, "It's just like that drug feeling. I don't have an off and on switch. I just need that drug feeling."
What a sick
End quote.
fucking fuck.
Oh, in the nicest of words.
Sick fuck.
Okay, so he was put on death row in Allen B. Polinsky Unit near Livingston, Texas, and was received by Texas Department of Criminal Justice on November 8th of 2000. On April 3rd of 2014, he was asked if he would make a final statement, and he replied with a simple no. He was administered a lethal dose of whatever kills them. And at the state, the text... Oh, is that what it is?
Pentobarbital.
I do know that was actually a new drug that they had only used on a couple of people. And his execution actually did get bumped later. Because they were having to go through the court systems about if they could use that drug or not. So he was administered that lethal dose in Huntsville, Texas, which if you're from Texas or know the Texas area, you know Huntsville. It's our big prison. So he was pronounced dead 13 minutes later at 6:27 p.m. Crystal and the members of the families were there to watch him die. Bye, bitch.
I mean, he still got off too easy. He got off way too fucking easy. And that's with him getting that death penalty. I mean, I would have been cool with like a squad made up of all of the victims' family members, you know? But, I mean, I guess he's dead.
That sounds way better.
Yeah, he's dead. Whatever.
He's dead. I mean,
fuck him.
He should have been... I shouldn't say bad things. I can say bad things. That's okay. He's a bad person.
Yep.
That is it, guys. That's pretty much the story of Tommy Lynn Sells. It's brutal.
I think, I don't know. I think I might take up drinking now. So.
Dude, I had a glass of wine before we recorded this, just because I knew that it was going to affect me. Having to say all this out loud. You know, when I'm typing it, it's not as disturbing, but saying it out loud, you're like, oh my gosh.
Lady, do you have an ending quote?
Of course I do.
Okay.
All right. My quote of this week is, if everyone demanded peace instead of another television set, then there'd be peace.
Let me see. I'm going to guess that this is Sepultura. Okay,
You're so close, dude.
Hey.
So close.
Hold on.
Do you want to guess? You want me to just tell you?
Okay. Megadeth.
I'll give you one more guess. Very close again, but no, it's actually John Lennon.
Very not close. Awesome. Well, we have a new review. And I'm pretty sure that, this review might go away after this episode. Holy fuck. But no, I'm kidding. This is one of the parts that ended up glitching that I was telling you all about in the beginning of this episode. This is a review that came from CJ from Beyond the Rainbow podcast. She titled it, "Whoa, this podcast just gets better and better. I am not huge on tons of beginning banter, and the past few episodes have been so good and on point. I adore them. So real and so empathetic to the victims' families. 5 stars and 5 hearts." Thank you so much, CJ. You're awesome. We love you.
Thank you. How nice.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
All right.
me
So
too.
also quick thing. Quick little quibbit. We have the
Hold on.
Texas Troop. The quibbit. Quibbit.
What is a quibbit?
A quick thing. A quick thing. A
Okay.
quibbit.
We're
I don't know.
we're inventing words now. Okay.
Quibbit. Same thing.
Okay. Quibbit.
So, quibbit. We have the Texas True Crime Podcast Festival in August. It will be August 23rd through the 25th. You can buy your tickets at www.truecrimepodcastfestival.com.
Yeah, we will.
We will be there, along with other
Yes.
awesome creators, such as Cult, Crimes, and Cabernet, and True Consequences. So be there, or
just be
just be there. Be there. Come
Also,
on, come
we're
see us.
poor, so
we want to see
join our
everybody.
Patreon. I'm always going to preface everything with, we're poor. So join our Patreon or, buy us a coffee. Those links are in the show notes. We truly could use the help now that we have a festival and a computer to save up for. But, by the way, there is a funny ass blooper reel on that Patreon that is money well spent. So
I've listened to it a couple times now because it's so funny.
it is funny.
I'm laughing at myself most of the time.
That's why it is. You guys got to join our Patreon. There's all
so
kinds of really
it,
cool
guys.
perks to joining our Patreon too. Like you get to watch us be relaxed.
Join it.
Yeah. I'm not going to show you a titty or anything, but maybe I will.
Small. Join on Saturday. Support small businesses. No. I'll show you I'm not showing anything. I'm sorry. I was like, I'll show you a foot, but I don't want to go there.
Yeah, this case was
I'm tired.
emotionally exhausting. Shay, we're talking after this. So, anyway, don't be a dick.
And wear deodorant.
All right, guys. Bye. Thank you for listening to A Nefarious Nightmare. All research done for this podcast, depending on the episode, is written by Amanda Cronin and Courtney Fenner. Scripting, editing, mastering, and sound design are done by Courtney Fenner. If you would like to visit our links, merch store, or social media, please either go to www.anefariousnightmare.com or to our link tree. That's linktr.ee/A Nefarious Nightmare Podcast. Music used for our intro and exit is by Ghost Stories Incorporated. You may find their music at bandcamp.com. Additional backing music for today's episode was provided by Epidemic Sound. Please consider leaving us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts